Hello everybody and welcome to Cabaret Secrets. My name's Gary Williams and today I'm joined by a man who sings, plays the guitar, tells jokes, does impressions and looks great in a skirt. Welcome, Allan Stewart.
I haven't got any secrets. This is not fair to say wearing a skirt. You're making me sound like a transvestite. This is probably not good for your secrets. But I went to do it.
These are just the kind of secrets we want to hear.
I went to do a private dinner in Liverpool and they'd asked me to be an Everage. So I got the Everage wig, I got the frock, I got the gladioli and everything. And I arrived at 3 o'clock to look at the venue. And I walked in and the chef was there and I said, I'm just doing a thing here tonight. He went, "Oh, right, yeah." He said, "Are you the transvestites?"
Is that true?
Yes. So I have been called a transvestite.
So the act that we see now, how different is that from what you were doing when you were 20?
Well, totally different.
And has it gone in sort of phases where for years you've sort of had one particular act and then you've done a big change, or is it gradually little bits?
Gradually little bits changing all the time. I've never got rid of an act. I remember watching Jerry Seinfeld saying,
"It's a great bit.
It's the end of
burying the act.
They bury the act." And then started again. And actually, if you think on it, even watching him now, he's never totally recovered. You know, the old act went, and it's been 10, 12 years, and he's still never come back with an act that was as strong as his first one.
Because it took him 20 years to get there, right?
And that's a little secret that it's like like somebody like, say for instance, Cannon and Ball, they had been working for 25 years around the clubs. They get their first series, everybody goes crazy about it. Because they've had 25 years of putting all these bits together, put them all in the first series, bam, you're a hit. Now you're at the second series, any more ideas? We've got a few, but we now need script writers. As soon as you're in the hands of script writers, they're just coming up with ideas, some of them work, some of them don't. But it's the first series, like Miranda. There was Miranda recently, our first series, sensational. Second one, second album syndrome, and all she does is fall off the chair now. Nobody can watch it. It's just not funny. So these sort of things happen. I mean, I would hate to have to get rid of the act and start and do a completely new one.
So you would find something that works, a little bit of business that works, and you keep that, and then there's another little bit. And so over the years, it's because the act that I saw you do the other night, has that stayed pretty static for a long time? Or, I mean, because it's so well polished now that you must be reluctant to make any changes to it, because everything is there, I assume, for a reason.
It's the template now. That is the form that the show will take. For instance, after my song "Only You," which I sing with a guitar sitting on the stool, I always went into Tina Turner. That got a bit dated, so I pulled out Tina Turner and I put in a food song, and I wrote Bohemian Rhapsody, the cruise ship one. Yeah. So that went in there. So I take things out and put new things in.
There's a chapter in the book called "Use a Template." That's one of the secrets.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's what I do. I found this template. I always say it's not the songs that I'm singing are sort of irrelevant. It's what they're doing. It's the type. It's what it's there to do that's important.
Absolutely, totally, really, really important. It takes you a long time to find that template.
Well, I've published them now, so...
Have you? Well, that's great. That's for singers, not for comedians.
No. But I think it makes it really easy for me. If I have to do another show, like a second show, or for some reason, even a third show, or there's some reason I've got to do a separate show, it's so much easier now because I just use the template and I think, okay, I want a short, lively, swingy opener. What have I got that fits that bill? The second number's going to be medium tempo, just to relax a little bit. The third thing, I'm going to talk, and then I'm going to do a ballad. I know exactly the form of the show that works. So it's the same for you.
It is. If I was doing a show 1, you're tonight going to see show 2, which is. I'm just contradicting myself because it is not the same template. Totally, utterly different template. I haven't worked from that. But then a show 2 for me is always different. You've warmed them up. The people know you. You can take a little bit more chances. If you have got something that works really well in show 1, it goes even better in show 2 because you've got them on your side. They're coming out to see you.
But you're still presumably using some kind of template for show 2. There's some kind of form, some kind of structure.
There's a form. There's a structure, but it's not the same structure as the first one.
No, of course. Except there are always little windows of opportunity to react to things and to respond to things that happen, right? If something happens in the house, we're of course not going to ignore it because we're following our script to the letter. There's always an opportunity. But if we stray off what we would normally do, which, to be honest, most shows we're always straying off what we're supposed to be doing. But as soon as we've done that bit, then we're getting back to where we're supposed to be.
That's your safety factor. You know where your safety factors are throughout. I know throughout my act, here's the first gag coming. Now this is a big one. Oh, not as big as I thought it would be. Okay, right. Things are not going to be just quite as easy. So we start pacing up a little bit. And here's the next one now. Now if you get to point 8 and you still haven't had the big laugh, you're in trouble. And I don't care who it is, there is not an act that hasn't had a hard night and can't figure out why it's not happening. There's another comedian I know that tapes his act every single night and listens to it and says...
Just for pleasure.
Well, I've never asked him what he gets out of it. I couldn't handle that, I don't think, but he does every single night. And he knows exactly the bits that have failed maybe twice, and he thinks, well, that's got to change.
Do you think people would be surprised at how much work goes into it and how much, how well thought out a good act is? Do you think that would surprise most people?
Totally. Punters haven't a clue about
and
it.
And even other acts, I think, particularly new acts.
Yeah.
Because this is the trick, isn't it? That we try and make it look like it all just happens and it's all just totally easy, and you just, well, I'll just put on my guitar. Well, I think I'll sing a song now, or I'll sit on the store and say, or something happens, and because you're also you're creating the moments which allow that if you do A, B, and C, that D is going to happen, that the audience are going to respond a certain way, and you can respond to that, which makes it look like it's a big ad lib, and
Absolutely.
But I think a lot of people, particularly new acts, they see it and it looks easy and it looks natural and spontaneous, so they think that it is, so they just get out there and suddenly wonder why it's hard, because they don't realise it's taken 20, 30 years.
Long time, yeah. I remember a long time ago, a young girl I was going out with was trying to get an act together, and she said, any tips and all that sort of thing. And I said, well, one of the things I've always done is, it doesn't matter whether I'm singing or talking, my eyes are looking around the room just in case something happens that I can react to. Somebody leaves in the middle of a song, I will stop in the middle of a song. Somebody coughs, as I did the other night, and you said thank you. You didn't know it was me, but we're always listening and thinking. If you're sharp and you're really au fait with your act and you know everything backside foremost, then you can look around the room and think of other things. Sometimes it's, what am I going to eat afterwards, which is wrong, but you do it. Anyway, this girl had said, always keep your eye open, you might just see something. So I went to see her in a theatre, and I was sitting about third row back, and I saw a very old man coming in who was totally stooped down, and his head was completely bent, and he sat at the front. And he couldn't even look up, he was so stooped. And she came on and she sang away, and then she said, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, blah, blah, blah. By the way, she said, I never thought anybody would fall asleep in my first song. And I'm going, no. And then she looked down and pointed to the man, and then when he didn't move, she realised, and I could just see the dawn in her face, what have I done, But then again, another Ross line is never give a street man a funny line. And it's very true. A number of times I've said to somebody in pantomime or whatever that's not comedian, oh, how about we'll try this one, and you see that. Wrong, mistake. Never give a straight man a funny line.
That's funny. We were chatting the other night about one of the cardinal sins we both see every now and again, which is silence in a show between songs.
Yeah, I won't mention his name, but it was a really lovely act. He played guitar and sang, and I gave him. He asked me what I thought, and I gave him 2 pointers. And the one pointer was that he would take his guitar off to speak to the audience, but he'd take his guitar off, turn round, go and put it in the stand, and come back to the microphone. And there was at least 10 seconds, and 10 seconds is interminable. Agonising when you're watching it, hurry up, you know. Yeah. And all I told him to do was I said, look, take your guitar off, take the mic out of the stand, and when you go back to put the guitar in its stand, you can be talking to them, telling them what your next thing is. Yeah. I said, so there's no silence. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of acts do it. They'll walk from one bit to the other without getting, or they'll go over and have a drink of water, and without the microphone in their hand, You can start a sentence, stop in the middle of it, take a drink of water, and say, and anyway, and you now all flows,
It's funny when you talk about water, because I was thinking about Seinfeld's, show. So he buries his act, and then we see the new act, right? Or do we see the old act? Or whatever?
No,
maybe I'm getting close. We see the old act.
Time,
And I remember watching that, and at one or two points during the act, he steps over to this little stool where he's got a glass of water, and he has a sip of his water. And I thought, I bet he takes a sip of water exactly the same time in every act. It's not suddenly, oh, I'm a bit dry, I'll go and get some water. It's almost set. It's part of the choreography.
It's part of my act as well. I take a drink at the same place, and at the same places. I wipe my head, usually at the same place, unless it has to be a really sweaty show. And my movements, although not choreographed, and when the first time I do them, I'm making them up. But the second time I thought, well, that works. And they are literally... Well, it is so. But I think the magic of it is that nobody would ever think that any of these movements are thought out and done the same. Some people come to the first show 8:30 and then come to the 10:30 one, and they must go, "Oh, I thought that bit was off the top of his head." And with you as well. Yeah. When you put your hand in your pocket, which is a lovely bit, I'm sure. You probably do it there nearly every time.
I do exactly the same thing. I've got to a stage where it is exactly the same every time. But the trick is to make it look like it's the first time.
Absolutely, that is the real trick.
Well, it's particularly with the chat. I think with the chat,
yes.
It's when people are talking. It's so... Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And now my next song was written by, or, I was very lucky many years ago. And you think, oh, God, I don't care. I don't care, because you know that it's just spiel. It's just they're just telling us the little thing that they've come up with. And they could use almost exactly the same words, but if they just deliver it in a more natural way. So you have to... But whether it's a politician making a speech and I think it's the same as if you're in a bar or a restaurant, you're at a party, you're talking to some people. If you start telling an anecdote and it's, if you say, oh, good evening, it's so nice to meet you. Do you know, the other day I happened to meet somebody with this very similar name to yours and it was such an interesting... Who the hell is this person? And it's like insulting. It's almost like an insult, isn't it? I think it's exactly the same if you're on stage.
I think the biggest problem, though, of acts is what they say. And when they tell you, this was by Gershwin, which was written in 1492, and he died in 7:15, and all that stuff. And you go, we don't care.
We're not there for a history lesson.
No. And the other little tip is that I remember, again, somebody who will remain nameless had worked the ships and hadn't done well, and said, what do you think is wrong? And I said, well, look, I know you've been working with 3 top comedians recently, heavy comedians, and you've become a little bit like them. And on the ships, you have to get people to like you. I said, once they like you after 20... Because the minute you walk on, they are looking and they're thinking, oh, not sure about our frock, not sure about his shoes, and, oh, that's a funny suit. And they all... And then I quite like this song. So your first 15 minutes is getting these people who don't know you and don't care and haven't paid to see you, they have got to get to like you. And with me, hopefully they get to like me, and then I start further into that, I get a little bit cheekier with them, a little bit more dangerous, and by my second show, I'm saying things that I would never get away with in the first 15
Which
minutes.
Again is like a normal... You don't meet somebody for the first time and open and meet them and tell a crude joke or make some personal comment about their shoes or something. So you're polite. It's just like normal life, isn't it? It's a relationship you're building, you're having a rapport with people, and whether it's 1 or 2 people in a bar that you're chatting to for the first time or a room full of people, I think the rules are the same.
Absolutely. And as you say, the most important thing is to sound as if you're actually just saying it for the first time. You've just thought of it. And you do it. I watch your act, because I love your act. I love the way you put it together. And when you talk to people, you hesitate and you'll go, and this is a song that, funnily enough, it's a song that I wrote and I heard, all of a sudden, that's what we do in real life. So if anybody takes any tips from your book, that is the most important thing. Just try and make it sound as if you're talking to the person you've just met at the cocktail party. But then again, that's hard for a lot of people anyway.
That's dead true. That's true, right?
Cocktail party. So therefore, they've got that problem before they even start.
Yeah. What is the main thing, do you think, when you see other acts? Is there anything else that you think, like common mistakes that you see people making, that you think, ugh? And half the time you think, if only they'd asked me, I'd love to tell them that.
I would love to tell a lot of acts. I've always said, give me the act and I will make it 40%, 35, 40% better just by sitting talking to you for 10, 15 minutes.
What do you think of the common things? And there's things that I remember seeing there's an instrumentalist when the band are playing a solo, she completely ignores the band and she sits there and fiddles with a violin. Or she doesn't sit, she stands there, starts fiddling with a violin. Of course, we're all wondering what she's doing, so we're all looking at her, and she stands in the middle of the stage doing this. So it's such a simple thing that no one's ever told her. What about a director? Have you ever had a professional director work on your act, or have you done that all yourself?
No, I've done absolutely everything myself. Dougie Squires, who's a wonderful, wonderful choreographer from the 70s.
You went into Al Jolson then.
Oh, Mammy! From the 70s and the 80s, and he was the new generation, the young generation, and all that sort of thing. He used to put people's acts together and was a bit of an act doctor. He was good. But generally, there's not many. I've got a very, very good friend of mine, Ross King, who works on Daybreak. He's the Hollywood correspondent for Daybreak, and he's been in television for years and years and years. Been my best friend for 35 years. And he's the only other person, other than my wife, that I would listen to about anything to do with my act. And he watches it. He comes on a ship with me maybe a couple of times a year, and I watch it. And he said to me one night, he said, have you realised just how many times you turn your back on the audience? You know, either to do so-and-so, or maybe you're talking or whatever, and you turn your back. I said, no, I'd never noticed that. He said, yeah, so I'm very aware of that now. He'll also say, you've become a little bit relaxed on a lot of these things. Last time I saw you, you upped the ante. Now, I can change gear after the first 10 minutes if I think the audience aren't quite there. And I up the ante, and my movements become sharper and a little bit bigger, and I move around the stage a little bit more. So the energy levels move up by a good 25-35%. If it's a really bad audience, then the pace has to go. You have to get that pace going.
You played Jolson in the musical, and you were in the producers playing?
Playing Roger Debris.
So you're well used to working with directors. Do you take things from some of those experiences which end up changing your act in some way?
Well, a very, very good question, because my wife in particular saw a massive, massive change, and I knew I had a massive change after I did the first Jolson, which was in '96. And there was this, we sat down with this wonderful director, Rob Bettinson, and who had written the musical as well. And the first line of the first line of the musical, I walked down through the audience and I go, just hold it right there. So when we go for the first read-through, I just about to start reading the first line, he said, Alan, he was from Newcastle, he said, Alan, no, don't do the first line. He said, no, don't do the first line. So I never said the first line. And I had 5 weeks rehearsal, second week, third week, fourth week. And all the time he said, you've got to be bigger. Alan, you've got to be bigger, you're not big enough. Al Jolson was bigger. I said, but I feel I'm too big. You'll never be too big, Alan. Just get bigger and louder and more aggressive. And this built and built and built. And we're about week 4. And he said, okay, Alan, you're ready now. You can do the first line.
So at this point, you hadn't done the line at all?
I'd never, ever said, just hold it right there. And it was almost like he'd been building me up to the point that he knew that I had to be so big, so much energy to say that first line to stop the whole show. Because what happens is you stop the whole show in the middle of a song and you make the audience go like, what's happened? Yeah. And he said, you weren't ready till now, but you're ready now to do it.
Isn't that great?
And that was a great thing. But what it did to me was it changed my act completely. When I come out of Jolson, I moved from being Des O'Connor and going, it's really nice to be here tonight, to, good evening, ladies. And not to the point that it was like,
There is a big jolt, though, in your act, and the lights change as well. It's a great moment.
And there's all these jolts and all that energy. I probably slipped back a lot, but when I come out of Jolson, major change in my life and my act.
Right. The lighting in your show is fantastic. How important do you think that is, and how much involvement have you had in that?
100%. My lighting is 100% mine as well. I've watched things. I'll go to big concerts and I'll think, I like that. I love this backlit now. I think it looks great, even though you've got the 2 follow spots on you, to have that spot at the back.
I noticed when you finish, I think it was, if I remember rightly, it was Only You. So that's the only song that you sing straight.
Yeah.
Just this is me sitting playing the guitar as a musician singing the song. And is it at the end of the number? At the end, and then you have this sort of backlit thing.
You da 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 da, and on, boom. the lights change to an overhead,
Yeah.
so that the follow spots are out and it's just an overhead and it's like a kind of a silhouette.
It's very dramatic.
I don't know where I saw that.
In my act.
Probably, yes. The end of the Jolson thing, where I walk from one side of the stage to the other, and we've got so again it goes da 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 da, boom, and a spotlight hits me from the side of the stage, which I then blow out. I remember seeing somebody in a musical blow out a light and thought, oh, that's a nice little bit. So I watch lighting all the time, and the swooping in of the white lights at the end.
But you're not a lighting engineer, so how do you manage to relay all that information to a lighting guy? And how, I know a lot of the ships that you're on now, that you're coming back to the same places, so the lights are already set, but when you first come on, how long does it take you? How much time do you have to spend with a lighting guy?
The lighting on here is particularly fantastic on the Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth. You know, on some ships it can be very, very simple. I find that it's just those extra little touches that a lot of people notice that you don't think they're going to notice, but they'll go, yeah, like you just pointed that out at the end of Only You and all these things. It can take a long time because they've got to program it now. I mean, once it's programmed in, it's fantastic. But I've seen lighting guys on here a couple of hours after I've gone, still programming it.
And how much time do you spend with them before you leave?
If it's a new guy,
first time,
we're going through the whole act and he's looking at it, and I'm saying at this point we do that, and we mark out the major points. These are the ones 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are the main points, and then I'll go up and say, do you want to run through the lighting plot from the start of the show, and it has to go like that and it'll go like that.
So do you work with him before you start rehearsing with the band, or so you come in? Do you talk to him at all before? So do you give him a sheet of paper, a lighting plot that you've written out with everything detailed? I'm talking for someone that your show's not programmed, right? So he'll just be kind of figuring out on his own.
Blues and greens and brights, and I call something half colour. They never know what I'm talking about. I mean, it can be lots of colours, but it's not full bright red, orange, greens. So half colours.
And it doesn't matter if you're not using their technical language. You just talk whatever layman's terms.
This is my own layman's terms. And it's just dead straight.
So you do the rehearsal with the band. Your focus then is on the band, making sure that they're all right. You're listening to the sound. At the end of the rehearsal, then you go back and you sit in the booth, the lighting booth with him. And what do you do?
Sometimes, if I feel I can't trust the guy, if he's not got any of the things right, just on my talk through. While I'm rehearsing and he's missing things, I'll go up and I'll sit with him and I'll go through everything. If I feel safe with him, I'll say, are you all right? And he'll say, yeah, fine, I know what I'm doing. After the first show, there's a few things, like the other night on the first show, the spots didn't go out at the same time, so I didn't get a full blackout. Gave him a couple of notes, he was perfect.
Because those little things can really, I won't say ruin, but pretty close to ruin, spoil a moment, right? You build, you're creating this moment, and then the lights just not going out exactly when they should. It's just
the whole, and again, it's like you do the same thing as me. I tell the band leader or the MD, when I say here is a medley of my big ends, start counting on the word medley. Now, a lot of acts will say, right, I'm going to say, what are you going to say? I'm going to say, here's a medley of my big ends. 3, 4.
The silence again.
And we're back into silence again.
You said to me the other night, silence is deadly. I like that.
It is. And
just 1 second, 2 seconds. Yes. It's horrible, isn't it?
And it's, But I'll tell you the bane of my life. Sound men are the bane of my life.
No sound men listen to this podcast.
What they're doing, most of them. Now, on here, we've got Jim at the moment. He's fantastic.
He is good, yeah.
There's another guy on the Queen Elizabeth just now. He is great, John. There's one guy who will remain nameless. I want to kill him. And he is the kind of template for most sound men. They've got a few big words, and they tell you, no, that can't be done. And you say, and I've had many a fight, I say, well, they did it the last time. I say, can you change the EQ and the foldback on the monitor speakers without affecting the front? Yeah, of course we can. Next week, can you change the EQ and the foldback and not expect? No, you can't do that. They're both linked together. No, I'm sorry, you're wrong. Well, don't tell me I've got a degree. I don't know we've got a degree in, but I'm telling you can. Now, you're in his hands.
Then where do you go?
You've got nowhere to go because you're in his hands. After you've got the sound the way you want it, he can change it as soon as you walk on that stage. And generally they do. So if somebody said you want an MD, I'd say I'd rather take a sound man with me.
That's interesting.
And they're all the same.
Yeah, a lot of what we do, I think, is about people management. When we run a rehearsal, I'm trying to keep the band happy, and everybody, all the technical people, the lights. I'm trying to get exactly the result exactly what I want, and I know what I want, but I'm trying to get their cooperation, and I want everybody to be happy doing that. I want everybody happy to be working for me. I feel like we're sort of leading a team, you're sort of motivating and leading a team of people, because you can't just come in and say, no, it's this way. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, it's my way or no way. You don't know what you're talking about. You've got to do it like this. You can't lose your rag. You can't get upset. You've got to charm everybody, and you have to get them somehow to be happy to do what you want them to do.
However, I am the nicest guy you could ever meet for the first 10 minutes.
Yes.
until I see incompetence.
Yeah.
And then I become very difficult.
I can manage incompetence. It's laziness that I can't stand.
Is not the,
if someone's doing their best,
do it, and they're doing their best,
and I see that a lot.
Along with it. Again, if there's attitude, if somebody's trying really, I spent 2 hours one day and then 2 hours another day with a Hungarian band, who then went away after the first 2 hours and practiced it and then came back, and I gave them every accolade I could possibly give them, and I said, I've never seen anybody work as hard as these guys, and it wasn't great, but they tried the hardest, and they come back and say, I don't understand what you do, they're Irish, I don't understand how you, and I would explain it, and that was fantastic. But you get the guys that go, sorry, there's some wrong notes here. No, there are no, sorry, just play the wrong notes then, will you? Okay? And they go, and then they know where they stand.
Yeah.
They might not like me at the end of it, but yeah, I've fallen out with a lot of people.
They might not like you at the time, but I think when the show's finished, they see the whole thing in context, and they see the reaction, and they know that it works. They might still not like you, but they're going to respect you.
They'll respect me, yeah.
Do you think this is part of, you hear these stories about these big divas? I mean, Streisand, and they're terrible to work with. Do you think a lot of it is that? That's what I've heard. I spoke to Marvin Hamlish years ago on a ship. I met him on a ship, and we were talking about this, and he said, look, she's fantastic. She knows what she wants. She is a perfectionist, and she expects everybody else to be as good as her. And she's demanding on everybody.
I think there are divas.
Are you a Barbara Streisand of comedy?
I'm not quite a diva, but I'm very hard on them. And I'll ask a horn section to play it over again, and only the other night, and it's a great band on here. The other night, in between shows, I spoke to the MD and I said, I'm sorry, but the guys are playing like they don't care. The horn section are playing like they don't care. And he made a couple of things, well, the new guys and all. I said, they have to really give this energy. I said, you have to notch it up a bit. And I've never said to them before. And they come back and they played a fantastic show.
And it's the good because you said that because you knew that they could do better, and they were worthy of better for themselves, if nothing else.
If they couldn't have played it, if they had been the Hungarian band that I knew the best, that I got the best out of them, then I wouldn't have said it. But I knew that they could play better, and they were just, like if somebody goes, a horn player goes fa 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 fa, is it? It's the difference. Fa da fa da, and everyone's all thinking. But they're thinking, you can see them thinking, oh, have a drink soon, Yeah. And I could feel it.
Yeah.
And I was so pleased with what they did in the second show.
You've got to really know your own stuff before you start telling other people how to do their jobs, right?
You've got to be well down the line. I can even say, and I'm sure you can say, I can say to the drummer, you missed a crash out there in bar 35. Now, I don't know anything about music.
I'm exactly the
same. But I know there's a crash.
I know my show.
And looked at my music and worked out where that crash is. Because a lot of them miss it.
Yeah.
And I'll go, and you can see the MD going, oh, he knows his stuff. There's little tricks like that you learn along the way, but you can't do them at the beginning. You're in the hands of the band, and when you don't know your music, or when you do a new arrangement, you never know if it's going to be 100% right. There might be a couple of notes wrong, and if he says they're wrong, you go, listen, it's a new arrangement. Please tell me what it is, and you go with it.
There's been lots of occasions where I've, somebody has said, oh, it's the wrong notes, And I've said, no. I know it's fine. This is I've done that. I've used this for years. It works. Or someone said, this is impossible. I can't. There's no time to change instruments and turn the page. No. And I've given them a hard time. But then actually, it's transpired that the music is wrong. Was always wrong, but no one's ever told me because they've just fixed it, and that happens a lot. Absolutely, there might be a little, just a silly little mistake. They'll look at it and go, "Oh, it should be that." They don't even mark it on the parts. They just go, "Oh, blah blah," between them, and they fix it. So one thing that I've learned is I'm never overly. I mean, I'm some things I know for sure, but a lot of things I won't be too headstrong with them.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And you're right. They will just say, "That's a B flat there." Or, it can't be a B flat, and they don't tell you. That's absolutely right. And again, I'm not bolshy if they're not giving me attitude. If they give me attitude and go, "Hey, this part's wrong, man, we can't play it," they're going to get that back.
Yeah, exactly.
If somebody goes, "Excuse me, I'm not sure if this is right," it's man management with everything. But with me, as the type of person I am, if you push me up against the wall, you're going to get pushed back, and somebody who doesn't know me, I can tell within the first 15 minutes if I'm going to have trouble with them,
Do you think that comedy, some kind of comedy, is important in every act, even if you've got a singer that isn't a funny person? They're not comfortable doing gags or humour. Do you think they need to try and incorporate some of that? Do you think it's that important, or should it be just leave well alone if you're not, a comedian?
I wouldn't suggest a joke. I wouldn't suggest. I mean, I do things. I say lines like, the guys, a big hand for the guys in the lights, and I was just saying to somebody the other day, if we didn't have you, we'd get somebody else. And it's a nice little bit. Now, there's lots of these little lines around. Now, you've got to be pretty bad to really mess up that line, although they can, because it's the pause before you say that. It's all to do with the timing. I'd be a little bit reluctant to tell anybody in the beginning of their first 2 or 3 years to do any of these lines. You'll find a line here, you'll find a line there. You've found lines over the years. Yeah. I always say that everyone in an act should have, and we talked about this the other night, a point number, which is a very old expression.
Tell us what a point number is.
Well, the point
old-timer.
The old-timer. Well, what happens is, back in the old days, the acts would have one number in their acts, which would be maybe something like, and they'd go up to and the man walked in and something, and it'd be clever. And you think, well, that's clever the way they do it. It's a point number. It's not just "Fly Me to the Moon." It's not just one of those songs.
So, a comedy song.
It could be comedy, it could be clever, but it's different from the rest of your act. You do something different in it. You say, and here's a song, and it's an old lady, and you put the scarf on, you put the hat, or whatever. All I'm saying is, it's a point number. It's making a point, not just a song because it's a good song or people like it. And nearly everybody in the old days, the old acts, the old singers, always had one of these or two of these. You've got your Route 66 one. I'm sure you've got other ones that you do. You've told me you've got other ones that you do.
Do you think an act should always have some kind of audience participation, or do you think that sometimes, it's a bit not in very good taste? It's a bit, not very classy, or what do you think it's important?
I've seen acts dying with audience participation. I've seen the girl singers who come out who want to be just like, "Hello everybody, all right, lovely to see you. Right, we've got the posh ones over here. I can tell that, right? So the ones with the posh frocks on, and the ones without. So we're going to just do the posh frocks first." Just saying, "Oh no, might work in the real women's club, but it's not going to work on the big ships, So they will not move on. They've got to find.
So use with caution.
Use with caution, absolutely, And then again, a lot of the time, the audience don't want to participate, So it's real egg on your face if you try it and it's not working, you're left.
Do you change things much depending on if you're on a ship with mostly Americans, or I don't know, a lot of kids on the ship, or do you try and adapt your act, or do you just say, well, this is the act and this is where I need to be booked?
No, definitely with Americans I've got to change, and it bothers me because I don't do enough to the Americans to have got from my own head, the definitive American act. Over the years, I've found myself working a lot with Americans, and I finish up saying, that's it, I've got the American act now. But my British act flows and graphs and goes up and down perfectly. when I do the American one, I've got to take that bit out. I can't do Joe Pasquale bit, so I can't do the Tom Jones bit, and I can't. In fact, I hadn't worked to Americans for a long, long time, and I went out to a celebrity ship. I hadn't even been working ships for a long time, and they went out for 2 weeks to the Caribbean, a celebrity ship, and they said, "Do you want to open for a comedian called Noodles Levenstein?" And I went, "Oh no, I don't open. I close." They went, "Oh well, okay." Well, big mistake. Number one, Noodles was sensational, and number two, I didn't have an American act. It was my British act, and I had.
You did have an ego.
I had an ego. Yes, I was in television. I was doing it. Don't tell me to open for somebody.
How dare
my
you?
My ego went, and I went back to the cruise director next week and I said, "Listen, I'll open for Noodles next week." He went, "I was going to suggest it, Alan, but I was a bit worried." I said, "No, I'll open for him." And I realised at that point, but I went back and spent every minute of the day changing, working out what. So when I went back on that next week, my act had changed 75%, and it went well. Also, I didn't have to follow Noodles. But the point was, I went back and worked, and jokes I've been doing for years, that's not working. Why did it not work? And I really worked. So it took me a whole week to sort it, and I got a lot better reaction, and it was much, much better. But you're right, I do have to change quite a few things if I work just to Americans.
I used to get impatient with other acts they'd look at this when we get on the ship, we're given a schedule, and they'd say, "Oh, they only want me to do 30 minutes, but my act's, 60 minutes or 55. They're telling me that I must do 45, but I always do 55." And years ago, I always used to think, "Oh, just shut up and just cut a few numbers out." But now, I've been doing it longer. You mentioned a few times the word graph, the way that the show graphs, the sort of peaks and the troughs of the show. There's a shape, an arc to it. Now that the show is set and works, everything is there for a reason, like we were saying at the beginning. So when they say cut a few minutes out, or you've got to change something for a different crowd, an American audience, it's really challenging, isn't it? Because the graph suddenly has a gap, and you need to go from this place to that place. You can't just go from A to C. You've got to go. There needs to be a B. There needs to be a reason. It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, another thing that the acts don't do, you do it, and the good ones do it, and that is you come out of a song and you just know you have to go dead segue. And the dead segue is a really important thing. So you've gone, and the da-dee-dee, boom, and the band goes, and you're right into the next thing. And it's not that stop with this big song and then anyway, here's a song. So there's those moments when because you've hit them with a big note, and you then take them further on with a up-tempo or something different, and the dead segue is very important. Now, if you've taken one of your songs out, oh no, but normally I've got to introduce this one, there's a little thing that's just thrown you into tilt.
When in my template for my show, I always try and end with, I call it a bang, bang, bang ending. Big, bigger, and biggest. And then there'll be one more thing, and that thing could be, sometimes I might really finish, the encore might be a ballad, or might be something, there's different reasons, but the three songs towards the end, big, bigger, and biggest. Do you have a similar kind of thing to take that build up there?
No, because there's comedy involved in it, I know where I'm going comedy-wise. The big, heavy guns comedy stuff starts to go from 3/4 of the way through. My opening stuff about the coming on the ship and things I noticed and all these sort of things, and nice little gags and nice warm gags, and then towards the end it starts, there's the woofers, we call the woofers, and then there's the heavy stuff at the end, and then the big number. But a closing number is one of the most difficult things to find. Okay, so I'll just do a big ballad. For me, I don't want to just go and do a big ballad at the end of having done, so I've always had to find,
because you want more comedy in there, right?
I want something different. So one of them is a big ends, which is all the endings of songs, like Sinatra's My Way and all these big stars, Elvis Presley's trilogy, all the big finishes all put into one song.
Did you do that the other night?
No, I'm doing it tonight on this show. I finished with all the impressions. Now, you see, even at that's quite a new routine, and I've just been upstairs trying to work out, it's not right for me at the moment. There's something wrong with it. I think it's the arrangement. I think I need the click track on it to be bigger so that it's a bigger finish, and so I'm now going to spend a bit of money on it. Now that I know that it works, I'm going to spend more money on it and get it just sounding just right. Because at the moment, that's, for me, it's a good finish, but it's not good enough. So
any final words of wisdom? I mean, anybody that's starting out now, any tips?
Well, the interesting thing is, again, we're talking about this. My son, who's a pop singer, singer-songwriter, realises just how important live work is, and he's putting his show together now, and he's done maybe 7 or 8, 10 shows now of 20-25 minutes. And I said to him, you know, you've got to get a stronger opener. You're not opening strong enough. I said, but don't go too strong with it. Don't put your best number in there. I said, because you're throwing it away. They're just getting to like you, and they're sitting down and they're getting comfortable in the seat. They haven't got into you yet. So it's a good strong song. Your second song, that really hits them. Then you go with a cover. So these are your original, then a cover. So he's putting together a template now. And I also said to him, I said, the way you are at the moment, never go out next week to do your next show without changing something. Change something every single night, because when you change it, you'll go, that was better, or oh, it wasn't as good as the last time. So you're always changing.
At least one thing.
And when I come on the ships, I only had one 55-minute show, as most of us had. And they say they want 2 55 or 2 45s. So therefore, my second show took a long time to get to where it is now, and I very rarely ever went out without changing the second show. Next time I come on the ship.
I think that's what a lot of people do, right? Our first show is set, we know that it works, and I like it when I do a second show. We don't have to do it on a lot of ships, but on some ships where it's a second show, I like it because that's the place where I can play an experiment. Exactly. I mean, I make sure I sandwich my new stuff between, you know, stuff that's solid, but so I'm going to be safe. But that's great opportunity.
And that is the one very, very important last thing. And never try new material, if it's comedy, stand-up or whatever, without it being in the middle of 2 very strong bits. So here's the big strong gag, here's the new bit, oh, it's not going so well, into the bit that's well, try and test it. And that middle bit there becomes a bit stronger each time you do it, until eventually that becomes a strong bit, and you can put it anywhere you want. But it's always sandwiched in between safe stuff. As you just said there.
And with you're talking about your son, what's interesting, all this stuff that we're talking about, this still works for a completely different genre, a young pop act, original materials, the template, the frame with the graph, as you call it, the arc to the show. It's all the rules still apply regardless of the genre. In the book, I analysed some of the live shows of Celine Dion and Amy Winehouse, looking at their template. And when I did that, I was genuinely amazed at how the similarities between my show and Matt Monroe's show and Amy Winehouse's live show, the templates had a lot of similarities, regardless of genre.
Well, even more so now. I mean, you watch some of the big bands and you see them put together, and it is very theatrical. It's thought out. You know, I mean, they used to come on, the bands used to come on and they stand and they tune up and they put the thing in and all that, and in between songs they turn around and talk to each other and have a drink, and then they come on, and it really infuriated me. And then I watched the bands becoming a little bit more clever, a little bit more and now it's a beautifully choreographed, worked out, whether it's the Rolling Stones or whoever it is beautifully put together and thought out. And my son,
I think Dougie Squires did the Rolling Stones last tour.
He did, yes. My son was 3 years with Example, who is a big rap artist, and I saw them starting out in 400-seater gigs. And this boy is real rough. He's like that Cockney boy, and he's a bit of a rough lad. The leader, Elliot. I watched show business just slowly coming into his act, getting more and more. And then I found out that he'd been in Oliver as a kid. He knew show business. He loved musicals. He would say to Jane, "Oh, by the way, my wife, can you get me tickets for Matilda? I'd love to go. I want to go and see it," and all that.
Didn't put that on his website, did he?
No, he didn't. Because this is a real heavy guy. I mean, the kids go wild for him. And I then went to see them in the O2. Yes. I went to see him in the O2.
You should finish with that.
18,000 people going wild, and this was a completely theatrical show, from his till readies to his
till ready is where the band's vamping around at 2 bars, vamping around. Ready. Yeah.
Now, here's another little tip: if you're not sure about a line and you think you're not sure whether it's funny enough or not, and you're trying it out, do it over the top of a till ready. So the band's going ding, and you say, by the way. So
Yeah.
that's the most important tip I'm giving anybody out there. If you want to try a little bit of comedy, do it over a till ready.
Allan Stewart, King of the Tilreddys, thank you for joining us on Cabaret Secrets.
Thank you.
I should explain to people listening to this now that Allan and I, this is the day after our main interview, and after Alan's show that I saw last night, where you did get something of a standing ovation. Something of a standing ovation.
They would call it a partial standing ovation.
A semi. You had a semi-standing ovation last night. And we're on deck now, sunbathing, and I just thought I'd chat to Allan about the art of getting a standing ovation, and there are tricks, there are ways to manipulate a standing ovation.
The most common one is put the house lights up when you walk back out for your call. Just stand and hold your hands out very slightly, palms upwards. Number 2 is you go down and shake the hand of somebody, and as you shake, you just pull them up so they stand up.
And just hope the rest will follow.
Yes.
The third one.
Well, the third one is the very obvious one, which is a lot of acts do it, and I know some very big names that do it, and that is that their little children or their grandchildren always phone up and say, "How did you do in the show?"
So this is the act saying to the audience, when I get back to my cabin.
My daughter phones, and she's only 6. She's a beautiful little girl, and she's just gorgeous, and I love her so much. And she says to me, "Daddy, how do you do?" And I say, "I did well, it was great." She said, "Did the audience love you?" And I say, "Yes, they loved me, darling." And she says, "Did they all stand up at the end, Daddy?" Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's not for me.
It's criminal, isn't it?
It's criminal.
And they all stand up.
Yes.
Another way is just tell them.
Yes, there's another way. There's one very well-known and very, very good act that says, "Come on your feet, let's go out with a bang," so that everyone's up singing the song. It's one of those da-da-da-da-da type of songs, and everyone's up screaming and shouting and dancing, and then at the end, the cruise director walks on and the whole room's standing. But you did tell them. There's another one, and I saw a magician do this. He brings people up on the stage, and he tells the guy that he's got up on stage at the end of doing whatever the trick he's done, and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is fantastic." He said, "By the way, would you like a stand ovation?" And the guy goes, "Yeah." He said, "I'll tell you how to get it." He said, "First of all," he said, "when you hold your hands straight out like that, everyone cheers." So we'll try it. So he holds his hands out, everyone cheers. He said, "And when you hold your hands up a little bit higher, everyone cheers even more." He says, and then he said, "Eventually you put your hands up in the air and the whole audience stands up." He says it's just wonderful. So they try it, and everybody stands up, and the guy walks off to stand ovation. So then the act goes on, does another 15-20 minutes, finishes his act, walks back out for his call, holds his hands out once, cheer, twice, bigger cheer, up in the air, 3, and they're up on their feet. How terrible is that?
So the cruise director, who's been in their office for most of the show, catching up on paperwork, and just comes in to bring the act on and take the act off, thinks, "Wow, look at that control! Look at that! Look at how do they do that?"
Yes, absolutely. Now, unfortunately, there are 10 of them, and I can only remember 4. But somebody put one out. It must be on the internet somewhere.
I know another one.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Just be really bloody good.
That's the one, darling. That's the one I've done for 45 years.
But that's the hardest. Why bother?
Exactly.
Why bother doing that?
No, my reasoning behind it is you never know when you're getting a stand ovation if you trick the audience. But when you do get it, you go, "I got that fair and square," and I feel really, really good about it. But if you trick them all the time, then you never know. You're just kidding yourself on. And, well, you think you're kidding the cruise directors on, but they know.
But does it actually really matter? Because, if the audience, however you do it, if everyone's on their feet at the end, particularly if they're singing along to a song and they're clapping their hands and they're moving around a little bit, they're going to feel good doing that, and they're going to leave. They're going to leave on a high. They've had to get out their seats. They're going to leave on a high. It's probably still a plus anyway, isn't it? I mean, it's everything that we do is sort of trickery and coercion.
Yeah, I don't deny that. I mean, in our pantomime every year, we we have a song, we do Rockin' All Over the World, and we say, come on everybody, it's our anthem, everybody out your seat, and we have them dancing in the aisles. Now, we're not tricking them. All we want them to go out is with this great feeling of having a fantastic, they have had a fantastic night, but this is just the end of it. They're up dancing in the aisles. And a lot of the Buddy used to do it. It used to happen in Jolson as well, when we did the concert at the end. So, yeah, a lot of people have done it, and there's nothing wrong with it.
It didn't happen in Phantom.
Or Les Mis.
Yes. They should just finish with New York, New York. That always goes down well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And do you, in your case, do you get a nice extra feeling when they stand?
Yeah, of course, you love it when they stand, but you do feel, well, you see, you do feel like you've earned it, but you know as well as I do that it's so much of it depends on all these other factors. I know that I know when I've been bad, I know if I've been lazy or done a sloppy show, and I know if I've been good, and I can be on and do a good solid show and nobody will stand up, and I can be on a different ship at a different time, a different audience somewhere else, and they'll all jump to their feet at the end, and I know that I've been exactly the same. Absolutely. But there's 100 other factors that have been involved in it, and this used to drive me completely mad. I was telling you the other night, I first started on ships doing Royal Caribbean ships a long time ago, and I was not a good act. I'd only just started. I didn't really know what I was doing. At the end of every show, they'd stand up. If they didn't stand up, I'd be in the wings going, "Oh my, what happened? What went wrong?" You know, and I'd beat myself up if they didn't stand up. 95% of the time, they always would. That was the way that it was. As I got better and started doing different lines, and my act definitely progressed, I was like, people don't stand up anymore. And I used to spend hours and hours trying to analyse my old act. What was I doing? What am I doing now? I know that I'm more controlled and more structured in what I'm doing. I know that I'm better, but they're not standing up as much. And then this used to drive me mental. And then I realised one day it's because the audiences are different. I wasn't performing to American audiences anymore. I was performing mostly to British audiences who simply don't very often stand up. And that was the reason. So it was just the audience.
Well, that is exactly just what I was about to say, and I didn't know what your answer was going to be until you said the Americans. Well, the Americans will definitely stand up a lot quicker than any other British, because they're used to it. They stand up when Jerry Springer walks on television, when he walks on stage, they stand. They stand for people walking on sometimes, you know. And there was a wonderful act, Renato, he's unfortunately not with us anymore. Renato would say to me, you know, he'd been worked Royal Caribbean in America for years, and he'd say, I get the 5 stand ovations in my show. I come on piano, nobody stand up. What is wrong with these people? And a lot of acts get a false sense of security when they work to American audiences, and they get this idea, oh, this is normal. It's not normal in British. They take a lot to get up.
Yeah, I've just come back from this 3 months in Brazil. Every night there'll always be a standing ovation. Sometimes one, towards the end of the show, and then they'd sit down, and then they'd stand again for the encore. And when I'd go out into the house singing a song, they're all jumping to their feet to take pictures. I'd have this business I'll go out in the house with flowers, and I would come down giving out these flowers in this song. It's not cheesy at all. It's a very sophisticated piece of business. And I'm giving out these flowers. Now, in Brazil, I'm not kidding you, I will step down off the stage, and not every time, but most of the time, within seconds, I will be surrounded by all these women taking photographs, tugging at my sleeve, desperate for a picture and desperate for a photograph. But I felt like a rock star. Yeah. When I come here and I'm performing on a British ship, I come down and no one dares look at me. They've all got their arms folded. They're looking really miserable. And I made the mistake. You didn't see it. My first show on this ship, and this is the first ship I've done since I came back from Brazil. In my little chat at the end, in Brazil, I would say to them, look, I'm plug the CD. I'm going to be at the desk. I'm going to be plugging. I'm going to be selling CDs at the end. If you want to come over and say hi or take a photograph, please be my guest. Because they all would. They'd be lining up to take photographs. On here, we've got mostly British audience on this ship, and I said the same thing. And when I said, you want to come and take a photograph, I thought, oh, God, what did I say that for? Because I know they're all thinking, why do we want to take a photograph of you jumped up little. It's completely different, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's incredible. But yes. There was another time, I think I told you about this as well, was when I was in Jolson. I followed Brian Connolly and I went and saw him, and he got a stand ovation the night I saw the show. I thought it was magnificent. Then I took over for him. I was the alternate. I was doing 2 a week. And I got stand ovation, another couple of weeks, stand ovation, and then one night I didn't get it. Oh, panic, what have I done wrong? Phone the director, phone the producer. What have I done wrong? Don't worry. Brian didn't always get a stander. Anyway, when I took over completely for 3 months, I got so paranoid about it that I started a graph of how the act went and how the show was going, and when I got standards, see if I could work
A graph?
A graph, yes. You probably don't know what a graph is, you're an act, but it's a thing that it shows you how you've done in the show and where the highs were and where the lows were.
So mostly troughs?
Yes, there was a lot of troughs.
Not many
but there
peaks?
Was certainly not a stander, and it got me paranoid. My wife was going, will you please stop it? The director was saying, Alan, stop it, you're driving yourself crazy. But I couldn't.
But you were sweating more and more joy. I'm going to get them. I'm going to get these people up.
I would never trick them, but I still couldn't understand it.
You should have just told them.
And then one night, buff, they're up again, and I got a whole run of a week and a half of standers every night, and I go, I'm away again. Then stop. There is no reasoning behind it. So after all these years in the business and all this chat, there was no reasonable answer to this. How do you get one? How do you know? Unless you're a big star.
I wish I'd had this conversation really like 15 years ago, because just like you, I didn't have a graph, but it used to drive me insane trying to figure it out. But there is no sense. Now, I noticed, though, there are things you can do to build it a bit, aren't there? Because I noticed in your show last night, you have your playoff music, and then you come back on, and I noticed, I think that you did this last night, you come to the front, you take a bow, and then you did this, you turned your back to us, and you walked towards the band, and you're kind of thanking the band and say, wow, what a great band. But all the time you've got your back to us. And I think that's a bit of a trick, to sort of, you're kind of killing time, waiting for them to maybe get up.
What you do is you turn your back and you're saying thank you to the band, and you just wait a little bit and you're applauding the band, and you turn around and they're all on their feet. That has happened a few times. I didn't particularly think of it as a trick, but it is saying something. It's giving them a bit of time to applaud.
Because you're not actually doing that to thank the band.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Not for 15 minutes, Alan.
See, this will go out to all your listener, and he'll think, or she'll think, well, he's a trickster really deep down. He just does it a little more subtly.
But we do all. I mean, the whole thing, everything we do is a trick, really, isn't it? It's all this. Bill, we're trying to manipulate the audience into doing what we want them to do, you know.
Oh, okay. So at the end of Mammy, I'm down on my knees. It goes to blackout. The light comes back up, and I stay on my knee, and I look up at the audience as if to say, I have killed myself for you. The blood, what do you want, blood? And they generally cheer at that point, and the British audiences keep applauding, and then when I stand up I take a bow and they keep applauding, and this applause goes on and on. That's a trick. Of course it's a trick, and as you say, they are all tricks, and I don't mind those tricks, obviously, because I'm doing them, but I do mind people asking in a trickery way for a standing ovation.
Do you think the audience minds?
No, I don't think they even think about it. No, I don't think they do.
Do you think it matters? Do you think if even if they're told to stand up, that they go out going, oh, he got a standing ovation, he was that good, or writing to the family, oh, it was a wonderful act, got a standing ovation. Do you think even when it's a really obvious stand up?
Well, I don't know, but I do know that the audiences on here in particular will say to me, oh, it was great, enjoyed your show, and you got a standing ovation. They do look at it that way, as being a little bit special, even though it's only a partial one.
I think we should start doing it.
What, tricking them?
Yeah, I think we should just tell them.
No, I'm definitely not.
I'm going to do it.
The only time I'm asking for it is at my funeral. As my coffin goes in through those curtains, I'm going to have a song played opening night, which was a record that I brought out in the 80s. I want to be there on the opening night. So I go through the curtain, the curtains are going to close, the curtains are opening again, and the coffin's coming back out for false stabs. And at that point, I want everybody on their feet. It's the only one I'm asking for.
And they can buy a CD on the way out. Thank you for listening to this Cabaret Secrets podcast. If you've got any comments or questions, please visit cabaretsecrets.com, where you'll also find details of the Cabaret Secrets book, an indispensable guide on how to create your own show, travel the world, and get paid to do what you love.